Hello, Nina from Dragon's Garden here. Let's make this adorable bunny keychain just in time for Halloween. Start by placing your piece of fabric into the hoop. I like to keep mine in place with the basting stitch, so everything stays in place. As always, the applique part is marked by 3 main stitches. First is the applique material that will stitch out the placement line. The next one is the applique position, which will stitch down your fabric, and as last the color-coded decorative stitch that will hide all the cut fabric edges. You can find a more detailed explanation in my applique and how to do it video. Now that the fabric is tucked down, you can go ahead and cut around the stitching. I started off by getting rid of any excess material first to make it a little bit easier to cut around. Make sure to use sharp point scissors to make your task easier, and do not move the fabric or the stabilizer, so keep your hoop flat on the desk. Because this pattern has most of the top area covered by outline, you can get away with not cutting the edges neatly. The very neat part needs to be on the bottom that will be covered by the stitches, so focus a little extra on those parts and the corners. When you are done, tidy up the area and add the top water-soluble stabilizer. I like to run the basting stitch again so it keeps the foil in place for me, but you can also tape it down. After the applique is done, it's time for all the stitching to begin. You can follow the thread chart guide on the colors, but you can also customize the design colors to your liking. Stitch everything in the file besides the last 3 steps, which are the ribbon and the outlines. Before going further, you have to remove the basting stitch and the water-soluble stabilizer as they are not needed anymore. Make sure nothing moves when you pull off the foil. The third to last step is the stitch to attach the ribbon of your keychain. You should already have a placement stitch on top of the head, showing where the ribbon will go. Grab a piece of ribbon and fold it in half. Place the loop side down, making sure the top edge goes over the placement stitch. Tape it down and let the machine stitch. Remove the tape and grab the piece of fabric to use on the back of your charm. Make sure the piece of fabric is big enough to cover the entire area. Put it with the good side down on top of the bunny, making a nice sandwich. Before stitching the outline, don't forget to raise the embroidery machine foot in the settings so it doesn't get stuck in the fabric. In the file there are 2 sections of the outline. One is the line that goes around the design, and the other one is a small line that completes the outline. I usually skip the small line to make the opening for turning at the back, but you can choose to skip this step and leave it open if you prefer so. Embroidery is done, now you can remove the stitch design from the hoop. After removing the bottom stabilizer chunks as much as you can, start cutting the design out roughly. Be careful not to cut off the ribbon, so leave a little extra fabric there for now. Carefully clip the fabric following the graphics. Cut into the corners and curves to make things easier to turn. The more time you spend on this step, the neater your plushie will look and turning will be much easier. You might notice that around the edges where the satin stitch was, it might be a little tough to cut through. Don't be afraid to put some extra force there to snip the stitch that runs over the outline. As mentioned before, I prefer to make an incision on the back of the plushie for turning. If you left the outline open on the side, the steps of the tutorial remain the same. You will just need to stitch the outline closed on the side afterwards. Using hemostats or chopsticks, turn the plushie inside out. Make sure to push all the corners and edges out as you go, so the plushie looks nice and flat. Stuff the plushie to your liking. I prefer to use a light amount of polyfill for a soft squishy feel. Be sure to push the stuffing into all the far edges and corners to ensure it's fully filled. In the end, you can give it a nice massage to make sure the stuffing doesn't clump up and stays in place nicely. Grab your needle and thread and close the opening with a ladder stitch. Start by pushing the needle from inside out to hide the knot. Then alternate stitching in and out on each side of the opening, creating a ladder effect. Pull the thread tight after each stitch to close the gap without leaving loose loops. I kept it very loose here to show you how it looks before you pull it tight. The smaller steps you make, the neater your stitch will look. When stitching is done, go ahead and remove any remaining stabilizer from the design. You can pull it by hand or use tweezers. An even easier trick, because this is water-soluble stabilizer, you can use a wet cloth to remove any tiny leftovers. Last step is to attach a keyring or clasp to your ribbon. You can just slide it around until it's securely in place. And with last step done, your bunny is ready for some Halloween adventures together with you. Drop a comment below if you try this out and if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and happy crafting! See you in the next video! Come and check out our website if you're on a hunt for more in the hoop style project for any skill level. Don't forget to check out our freebie section and grab some adorable free designs available. Big thanks goes to my Patreon supporters because they are amazing and make all of these videos and patterns possible.